What's up, guys? It's Jeanetta from Cash and Curls, and Happy New Year! Happy New Year! I hope you've been enjoying this holiday season with your family and your friends. But in today's video, we are going to be talking about 5 money moves that anyone, and I mean anyone, can make this year to level up their finances. So if you're looking to level up your finances this year, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first money move that we're making to level up our finances this year is we are creating a budget and we're tracking our expenses. That's right. We're no longer going to just keep paying our bills on time and praying and hoping and wishing that we can make it through the rest of the month. No, this year we're actually going to sit down before the month begins and write out our expenses on paper and track our expenses throughout the year. Okay, so this month, sis, we are getting on a budget. So if you're new to budgeting, I highly recommend that you check out my free monthly budget template. And with this free monthly budget template, you guys not only get the template, but you also get some knowledge. Also get a budget fact sheet. And on this budget fact sheet, you will find commonly used budgeting terms within the personal finance community. I give you guys a brief and very easy to understand definition of these terms. Inside of this monthly budgeting template, you will also get a checklist. And with this checklist, I give you guys a few things to think about to include in your budget so that you can make sure you cover every area needed inside of your budget. Be sure to check out my free monthly budget template by clicking the link down in my description box. So creating a budget is just one part of budgeting. The other part of budgeting is tracking your expenses. So it's just not enough for us to set our budget and forget it. No, this year we must track our expenses. Tracking your expenses is simply just keeping a note of when you spent some money, like when you paid a bill, when you went to the grocery store, and how much each of those items were. Your expenses allows you to see when you paid your bill and how much you paid for that bill. Doing this will help you see if you are still in line with your budget, okay? So it's just not enough for us to just create the budget, but we must also track our expenses throughout the month. For me personally, after I create my monthly budget, I then track my expenses on a budgeting app. I think one of the best budgeting apps out there is EveryDollar. I am not sponsored by EveryDollar just yet, but I really do think this is a solid budgeting app. So with this, all I will do is when I buy gas or when I go to the grocery store or when I make a bill, I would just log into the app and I would write when I did this thing, when I paid for gas and how much I spent. And it lets me know how much more money I have left over for the month, particularly for the area of gas. I highly recommend that you guys give this budgeting app a try. You want to know why? Because it's free. You cannot beat free. If you don't like it, you can always try another budgeting app. You must track your expenses throughout the month. The money move that we're going to make this year to level up our finances is building an emergency fund. That's right, sis. We are not going throughout this whole entire year without an emergency fund. You want to know why? Because emergencies are going to happen and you need to have money set aside for emergencies. The quickest way for people to get into credit card debt is by not having an emergency fund. So this year, sis, we are creating and building and maintaining our emergency funds. Okay? All right, so we all need an emergency fund, whether you are in debt or you're out of debt, whether you are young or whether you're old, whether you're unemployed or you're employed, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're in college or you're in corporate, whether you're working a minimum wage job or making 6 figures a year, whether you have no kids or you do have kids, whether you're living at home with your parents or you live with roommates, you need an emergency fund. I cannot stress that enough. You need an emergency fund, okay? So I could do a whole entire video on emergency funds, but to just keep it short, I'm just going to let you guys know that there are 2 types of emergency funds. The first one is a starter emergency fund, and the second one is a fully funded emergency fund. Both of these funds have different purposes. So let's just briefly go over the starter emergency fund. So a starter emergency fund typically has about $500 to $1,000 set aside for emergencies. This emergency fund is recommended for anyone who is currently still in debt, okay? And the second emergency fund is a fully funded emergency fund. This will be a little bit more than your $1,000, but it's typically 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside for emergencies. This is usually recommended for people who are already out of debt, okay? So I'm not here to tell you or debate with you about how much money you need in an emergency fund. All I'm here to do today is to tell you that you need at least $500 to $1,000 inside of your emergency fund. I highly recommend $1,000 if your situation lets you have $1,000, but if anything, you need at least $500 set aside for an emergency this year. We're not going into 2023 or the next year without an emergency fund, okay? All right, so if you're saving for an emergency fund this year, please let me know down in the comments by saying, sis, I am saving for an emergency fund, okay? Okay, so now the third money move we are making this year to level up our finances is we are eliminating debt. That's right. We're no longer gonna sit and just be okay with having debt. Now this year we are attacking our debt, and I'm going to help you guys, okay? This is your year to start your debt-free journey. Let me say that again. This is your year to start your debt-free journey. This is your year to become debt-free. This is your year to create a plan to get out of debt, okay? We are not going to continue on with having bondage. Now, this year, we are taking the steps to become financially free. And for us to become financially free, we must eliminate our debt. We're no longer waiting for the government to come save us. No, we're actually going to take the necessary steps to save our house, our family, and our financial future this year, okay? Okay. So this year we are creating a plan to eliminate our debt. If you're unsure about where to start in your debt-free journey, I highly recommend that you do what I did. What I did back in 2017 when I started my debt-free journey was I listed out all of my debts from smallest to largest. I used the debt snowball method to attack my debt. I highly recommend that you guys take some time this year to list out all your debts on paper and to then start attacking them aggressively. We do not want to keep holding on to debt. We need to let debt go. So, if you're interested in starting your debt-free journey, I do have some tools for you. I have actually created a debt-free tracker that helped me get out of debt that I have specifically for you. This debt-free tracker will not only help you stay organized throughout your debt-free journey, it will also motivate you to continue to pay off your debt. So if you're interested in getting a copy of the debt-free tracker, be sure to click the link down in my description box and use the code CCP10 to get 10% off your tracker. Okay? Because sis, we are getting out of debt this year. Fourth money move that we are making this year to level up our finances is reducing our expenses. I can't stress this enough. The only way for you to free up your income is to reduce your expenses, okay? So now that we have a budget, it's time for us to analyze our budget and to determine what areas inside of our budget we can start eliminating or reducing, okay? So we have to cut back in a few areas in our life this year. We can't do everything. We cannot continue to live the life that we once lived if we want to become financially free. So this year we must cut back, okay? To say this to you guys, cutting back is only temporary. You're not going to have to cut back for long periods of time. It's just something you have to do for this current season to reach your financial goals, okay? Here are a few areas that you can actually reduce your expenses or eliminate a few expenses. So the first area will be streaming services. We must cut back on the number of streaming platforms we have. You do not need three Music apps, guys. Cut down to one music app and reduce the number of TV and like movie channel streaming platforms you have. You don't need Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max. Just get one or two, okay? Trust me, you're not gonna die if you only have one or two streaming platforms, okay? The second area we need to reduce our expenses is in entertainment, okay? We must cut back on how much paid entertainment activities we are engaging in this year. So I highly recommend that you guys just take some time to actually find some alternatives to entertainment this year. Everything you do to entertain you doesn't have to be paid. I highly encourage you guys to take a moment to find some free, frugal, or very low cost activities that you can do with your family and friends this year, okay? And the next area that we're cutting back in is in household products and groceries. So before you go shopping for household products and groceries, I highly recommend that you check inventory to see what you already have. Always shop with a list and continue to look for coupons and discounts. They are out there. This will help you eliminate and trim off some extra money in your budget if you do these things. And I also highly recommend that you look for store brand products whenever you can. I'm not the type of person to say like, oh, only use generic or store brand products for everything. No, I understand there are certain things you do not want to buy generic and store brand products for, but there are a few things you can cut back on, like, you know, not buying store brand chips. You can get the generic brand chips, they all taste the same. You can get certain products in the generic and it won't kill you, okay? Another area we need to reduce our expenses in is in the area of beauty, okay? You have to reduce or eliminate some beauty services you receive monthly, okay? So I'm not saying that you have to eliminate everything. What I am saying is that you do need to reduce some things and learn how to do some things on your own. YouTube is a great platform for women out here who want to learn how to do their makeup, how to do their nails, how to do their hair. I ask that you guys just analyze your beauty expenses this year and find one or two areas that you can actually do the service yourself. So for me personally, I do my hair myself. I do my nails myself, but I do go to the nail salon once a month. So you definitely want to cut back on the frequency of getting that service if you can. Another area that you can reduce your expenses and is in the area of clothing. You do not need any more clothing this year. Trust me, you have enough clothing to get you through the first half of this year. I really want to challenge you guys to cut back on shopping online. I felt like for me personally and for my friends and family that I'm really close to, I can kind of tell where all their money is going. They use these online shopping stores to buy quick, fast, cheap clothes, and they continuously buy clothes every single month. Just think about how much money you can save if you just stop online shopping for clothes for a whole entire month, for a whole entire 3 months. You can save a lot of money. Now, I'm not telling you guys to not go without the basics, but be intentional about how much you're spending online for clothing, okay? All right, and the next area is eating out. We are eating out less this year, and I am talking to myself. This year, one of your girls' goal is to learn how to cook. Your girl is buying a vegan cookbook, and she's about to learn how to cook a few recipes, okay? This year, I highly recommend that we analyze our budget and set a set amount of how much money we can spend on eating out this year. I highly recommend that you guys set a budget and withdraw cash for eating out. I actually do have a video on how to set up cash envelopes, so you can be sure to click the link up here to get a quick rundown on how you can set up cash envelopes specifically for eating out, okay? And the last thing we can cut back or reduce our expenses on is in the area of our cell phone plans. Guys, there are many alternatives to a unlimited phone plan option. I highly recommend that you check out other phone carriers this year to help you reduce your phone bill, okay? The fifth and final money move that we can make this year to level up our finances is staying consistent and tracking our growth. Okay, we have to stay consistent, sis. This year we must stay consistent if we want to really achieve and attack our financial goals. You can honestly do all the things that I've listed inside of this video, but it will not work if you do not stay consistent. So I highly recommend that you guys take the time to review all of the money moves that I shared in this video and to just actually pick one. Pick one of these money moves that you can work on for the next 30 days. Work on one of these money moves for the next 30 days, next 3 months, next 6 months, until you can actually achieve that goal. I feel like so many times when it's a new year, people always want to say, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And they try to do all of these things all at once, and they end up not reaching any of those goals because it's just too much. It's too much of trying to get the budget in place, learn how to get out of debt. You have to focus on one particular financial goal before you move on to the next. And some of these things you can do simultaneously, like reducing your expenses and learning how to budget. Those are two things you can do that go hand in hand. But I would highly recommend that if you're trying to build your emergency fund, that you do that first before you try to eliminate your debt. Okay? So don't try to do everything all at once. There is a whole entire year for you to reach all of these goals. Okay? So just take it one step at a time. Now I would like to do a quick recap before we end the video. These are the 5 things that we can all do this year to level up our finances. First money move that we can make this year is to budget and to track our expenses, okay? The second money move that we can make this year is to build our emergency fund. The third money move that we can make this year is to eliminate our debt. And the fourth move that we can make this year is to reduce our expenses. And final money move that we can make this year is to stay consistent and track our growth, okay? So let me know down in the comments, which financial move are you planning to work on in the first quarter of this year? Let me know down in the comments. So be sure to check out the tools mentioned in today's video by clicking the links down in my description box, okay? So until next time, friends, never forget that you can win with money and I am rooting for you. Bye!